Cold rain poured over the narrow streets as Sarah Collins, a 28-year-old single mother, wrapped her thin coat tightly around her 5-year-old daughter, Lily. For weeks they had been sleeping in abandoned buildings after Sarah lost her apartment when medical bills and unpaid rent emptied her savings. Every job interview ended with the same polite rejection, and every shelter they visited was already full. That evening, Sarah made one final desperate choice. She stood outside the grand estate of Billionaire CEO Ethan Harrison, hoping someone inside might offer temporary work or simply a warm meal. Instead, security guards ordered her to leave. Before the guests arriving for a charity gala could see her. As Sarah turned away, Lily suddenly collapsed from exhaustion and fever on the cold stone steps. Panic filled Sarah's eyes as she knelt beside her daughter, begging the guards to call a doctor. Just then, a black luxury sedan stopped at the entrance. Ethan Harrison stepped out, dressed in a navy blue suit, preparing to attend the gala. Before anyone could explain, he heard Sarah crying through the rain. Holding Lily tightly, Sarah looked toward Ethan with tears streaming down her face and whispered the words that silenced everyone around them. "Please, take her instead of me. She deserves food, warmth, and a future. Don't let her suffer because I'm a failure." The guests froze in shock. Ethan stared at the frightened little girl clinging to her mother, and then quietly removed his expensive overcoat, wrapping it around Lily without saying a word. Instead of walking into the glamorous charity event, he knelt beside Sarah in the rain. The CEO, who had spent years signing million-dollar contracts, made a decision no one expected. He looked at his security team and calmly said, "Cancel the gala. Tonight, this family comes first." That single sentence would change all. 3 of their lives forever. Instead of sending Sarah and Lily away, Ethan Harrison personally carried the feverish little girl into his mansion. The elegant ballroom prepared for the charity gala stood empty as doctors, who had been invited to the event, immediately examined Lily in one of the mansion's guest rooms. She was suffering from severe dehydration, exhaustion, and pneumonia caused by days of sleeping in the cold. Sarah sat beside the bed, holding her daughter's tiny hand while blaming herself for every hardship they had endured. Ethan quietly listened as she apologized over and over, convinced she had failed as a mother. For the first time in years, someone interrupted her not with criticism but with compassion. A mother who is willing to sacrifice herself for her child has never failed. Ethan said gently, "She has simply been carrying more than anyone should have to bear, alone." Those words broke the wall Sarah had built around her heart, and tears streamed down her face. Over the next several days, Lily's health slowly improved under the care of the best doctors. Ethan arranged a comfortable room for Sarah and her daughter, but never made them feel like charity cases. Instead, he learned that Sarah had once been a talented accountant before leaving her career to care for her late husband during his long battle with cancer. After his death, debt consumed everything she owned. Meanwhile, the media criticized Ethan for canceling his prestigious charity gala without explanation. Investors questioned his priorities, and some executives complained that he was becoming too emotional. Ethan ignored every opinion. He believed real charity wasn't standing on a stage giving speeches. It was helping the person standing in front of you when no cameras were watching. One evening, as Lily laughed while drawing pictures in the mansion's library, Ethan smiled for the first time in months. He had no idea that Sarah and her little girl were about to uncover a painful secret from his own past, one that explained why he couldn't bear to see a child abandoned in the cold. One quiet afternoon, Sarah was organizing books in the mansion's library when she noticed an old framed photograph on Ethan's desk. It showed a smiling woman holding the hand of a little girl about Lily's age. Before Sarah could ask, Ethan entered the room and gently picked up the picture. His voice grew soft as he revealed the story he rarely shared. Years earlier, his wife and young daughter had been killed in a tragic car accident while returning from a family vacation. Despite all his wealth, private doctors, and influence, he couldn't save the 2 people he loved most. Since that day, he had buried himself in work, convincing himself that success would somehow numb the pain. But every birthday, every holiday, and every empty room in his mansion reminded him that money could never replace family. Seeing Lily shivering on those cold mansion steps had brought back the memory of his own daughter, and he couldn't bear the thought of another child suffering while he had the power to help. Sarah listened with tears in her eyes, finally understanding why the quiet CEO had shown such extraordinary compassion. Over the following weeks, Ethan offered Sarah a position as the chief accountant for his charitable foundation. Recognizing her talent rather than her circumstances, she accepted with gratitude, determined to rebuild her life through honest work instead of charity. Lily quickly filled the silent mansion with laughter, decorating Ethan's office with colorful drawings and calling him Mr. Ethan. With innocent affection, for the first time in many years the mansion no longer felt empty. Yet outside its walls, not everyone welcomed Sarah's new beginning. Several board members and Ethan's ambitious cousin, Victor Harrison, believed Sarah was manipulating the CEO for money. Secretly, Victor began planning to destroy Sarah's reputation and seize control of the company, unaware that his greed would soon expose him before the entire nation. A month later, Victor Harrison called an emergency board meeting, determined to convince the directors that Sarah was exploiting Ethan's kindness. Reporters gathered outside the company's headquarters as rumors spread across the city. Standing before the board, Victor falsely accused Sarah of manipulating the CEO for money and demanded that she be removed from Ethan's life. Sarah quietly lowered her head, ready to walk away rather than damage Ethan's reputation. Before she could speak, Ethan stood up. The room fell silent. He looked directly at every executive and calmly said, "The greatest mistake a person can make is judging someone by their circumstances instead of their character." He then revealed documents showing that Victor had secretly embezzled company funds and planned to seize control of the business. Security officers entered the room, escorting Victor away as the board watched in disbelief. Turning to Sarah, Ethan did something no one expected. Instead of simply defending her, he announced the creation of the Hope Foundation, a nationwide charity providing housing, education, and emergency support for single parents and homeless children. He appointed Sarah as its executive director, saying that no one understands the struggles of these families better than someone who has lived through them. The announcement received a standing ovation. Months later, the foundation had helped thousands of mothers and children rebuild their lives. Sarah became a respected leader, proving that compassion and determination could overcome even the darkest hardships. Little Lily returned to school, healthy and full of dreams, while Ethan found joy again by becoming a constant father figure in her life. On the anniversary of the rainy night they first met, the three stood together outside the mansion where everything had changed. Looking at the sunset, Sarah smiled and whispered, "That night I begged someone to save my daughter." Ethan gently replied, "You saved me too." In the end, everyone learned that the greatest act of generosity isn't giving money, it's giving someone hope when they've lost everything.